En estos momentos estamos en el canal de YouTube.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenas tardes. La Autoridad Educativa Federal en la Ciudad de México, a través de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio, les dan la más cordial bienvenida al cuarto conversatorio de inglés que tiene como tema central el construir comunidades de colaboración entre docentes de inglés en las escuelas normales. Building Collaborative Networking Among English Normal Teachers. Preside este evento Eugenio Aurelio López López, Director General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio. Bienvenido.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes a todas, todos.
Bienvenido, maestro. La acompaña Janine Romero Ávila, Directora de Desarrollo Profesional. Bienvenida.
Muy buenas tardes, tengan todos y todas. Es un gusto estar aquí con ustedes.
Gracias. Escuchemos ahora con atención las palabras de bienvenida a cargo de Eugenio Aurelio López López, Director General. Adelante, maestro.
Gracias. Agradezco la presencia de las y los docentes de inglés adscritos a la escuela, a las escuelas normales y al Centro de Actualización del Magisterio, así como a docentes de escuelas normales de las entidades federativas que participan con nosotros, y a quienes nos acompañan en esta transmisión por el canal de YouTube de la Autoridad Educativa Federal en la Ciudad de México. A todas y todos ustedes, muchas gracias por su asistencia. Es un honor darle la bienvenida al cuarto conversatorio de inglés, cuyo tema gira en torno a la construcción de comunidades colaborativas entre docentes de inglés. Esta jornada promete ser un espacio de intercambio, aprendizaje y fortalecimiento de lazos entre las diversas instituciones educativas que aquí representamos. Nuestra misión hoy es clara: implementar acciones que contribuyan a alcanzar los objetivos planteados por la nueva escuela mexicana, promover el desarrollo humano integral del educando, priorizar el sistema educativo nacional, incidir en la cultura educativa mediante la corresponsabilidad e impulsar transformaciones sociales dentro de la escuela y en la comunidad. La misión de la nueva escuela mexicana se vincula con la necesidad de fomentar una cultura de colaboración y apoyo mutuo en la enseñanza, especialmente en contextos como el de la enseñanza, pues se reconoce la contribución de las maestras y los maestros en la transformación social del país. La promoción de la corresponsabilidad educativa y el trabajo en comunidad crea un entorno en el que los docentes y estudiantes colaboran para enfrentar desafíos comunes, compartiendo experiencias y estrategias. De este modo, la enseñanza de idiomas puede adaptarse y mejorar a través del trabajo colaborativo, tanto entre docentes como entre miembros de la comunidad educativa, impulsando una educación inclusiva y de excelencia que responda a los retos del mundo actual y con ello cumplir con los objetivos de la nueva escuela mexicana. La colaboración entre docentes de diferentes escuelas normales nos permite superar barreras y encontrar soluciones innovadoras. Este conversatorio es una plataforma para el diálogo abierto, donde cada voz cuenta y cada experiencia aporta. Recordemos que una comunidad unida es una comunidad fuerte, capaz de enfrentar cualquier reto con creatividad y determinación. Por supuesto que no podemos olvidarnos del uso de las tecnologías de la información, comunicación, conocimiento y aprendizaje digital, que juegan un papel crucial y que junto con las estrategias pedagógicas modernas son aliados en nuestro objetivo de mejorar la enseñanza. Pero más allá de las herramientas, es la disposición para colaborar y aprender unos de otros, eso es lo que marca la diferencia. Por ello, agradezco su entusiasta participación en el cuarto conversatorio de inglés y deseo que estos 3 días de trabajo académico sean de inspiración para conseguir construyendo puentes que fortalezcan nuestra comunidad docente a través de compartir ideas y valiosas experiencias con el fin último de promover un aprendizaje de excelencia en nuestros alumnos. No me queda más que desearles que tengan un conversatorio fructífero y enriquecedor. Muchas gracias. Gracias por su participación. Buenas tardes.
Muchas gracias, maestro. Y bien, la actividad con la que iniciamos este cuarto conversatorio es la conferencia magistral intitulada Organizational Networking. Para tal efecto, presento a quien fungirá como moderador, Carlos da Silva Elvas, de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio. Adelante, maestro.
Good afternoon. We open this afternoon fourth conversatorio with a conference called Organizational Networking. And just for that, we welcome our first keynote speakers from Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán, Cristina de los Ríos Valdés y Ali Ramírez Ruiz. Welcome, teachers. Allow me to introduce our guests to our audience. Ms. Cristina de los Ríos Valdés is a dedicated teacher in the area of English and current coordinator of the language department at the Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán, Puebla. Graduate in communication from the University Iberoamericana, Puebla, Master in Education with a focus on new technologies from UNIT, Tehuacán. Ms. Cristina has been an English teacher at different educational levels, ranking from primary to undergraduate in various prestigious schools in the city of Tehuacán, with a work history of 17 years. She has collaborated with different educational projects in the region. In her free time, she enjoys hanging out with her family, collecting vintage items, and reading urban fantasy novels. Mr. Ali Ramirez Ruiz is a passionate English teacher. He has taught for about 11 years, literature lover and computer and photography enthusiast. He is currently an English teacher, degree advisor, and responsible for the area of monitoring graduates of the Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán. Previously, he served as an English teacher at the Tehuacán Technological Institute. Graduate in International Relations from the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, Master in English Teaching from Da Vinci University, degree in process, Diploma in Training and Development for the incorporation of technology into teaching practice from the Universidad Iberoamericana, certified as Google Educator Level 1. As I said before, they are both from Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán, and it's high time we listen to them. You may start your conference from now on. Welcome, Cristina and Ali.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Cristina de los Ríos, as they have been telling you. Welcome. Today we're going to start with our presentation, and this is my colleague. Okay, we're going to start. Ali is going to introduce himself at a later moment because he's having some issues with his microphone. So our talk, it's called, in this case, organizational networking. We're going to be talking about our experience here at School at ENS since we arrived. As you know, many of us speaks before we have this space to enter the government to work here at this Normales Escuelas. We were working in different environments, and when we arrived here after all the process, our school. Let me tell you a little bit about our school. Our school, Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán, is one of the youngest normals in all the Republic. It has been giving service only for 17 years. So our school is a very small one. When we arrived, we didn't have anything here except classrooms. You know, we didn't have any kind of offices. We only have like 20 classrooms. We have a library, but it was a very basic one. And the spaces for teachers were very limited. We didn't have any kind of laboratories, not even a proper computer lab, because we have these things, but they were not working. You know, this is a school that didn't receive a lot of money from the government. And we have 3 study programs when we arrived. We have telesecundaria one, elementary one, and preschool. So when we first arrived, all the courses were covered. We started working here, and for about 3 months, we just didn't have classes. We didn't have any spot for us. And we have, I think many of you feel this space, like this rejection from everybody here at school. It was hard at first because the other teachers in here, we only have like 12 teachers that had a plaza. The rest of them, they were waiting for hours. So when we arrived, they saw us and they say, these 3 people, because we were 3 fixed that we arrived at our school, these 3 people, they have full time. They have a C category and they are pretty young. That was the impression that they get. So like, how is that they are here? And the teachers here, they had a big influence with the students and with the rest of the faculty. And we were rejected even from the students. When we arrived, they were like, what are you doing here? You're not even teaching. So we didn't have this rejection from our principal. Our principal was very happy to have us because for him, we were 3 full-time teachers that we arrived. And in the process here in Puebla, I don't know in other states, but here in Puebla, we got our results and we were asked, where do you want to go? And it was a public event. All the principals from all the normales were there, and they were calling us by number and they asked us, which school do you want? So we were from the region here in Tehuacán, so we all wanted to be here. So we decided, we chose publicly that we wanted to be here, and we chose our normal over bigger ones. For example, BINEC, it's very recognized here in Puebla, is one of the biggest normals here. And our principal was very happy because he felt that our normal was going to be one of the last ones to be chosen. So when we arrived, he embraced us and he gave us the first thing that wanted is, he said, okay, you're going to be here and you need to do something because you don't have classes right now. So the first steps were, okay, we were working to get accepted by the rest of the faculty, by the students, but also we were working on creating our English Academy. The principal told us, teachers, here at school, we have 3 study programs, and we are little teachers. We are not a lot of teachers. So everybody gets their coordinator, and you get below this coordination, and you start working from them. But we don't want to work that way. We want you to create a space for English, and I want you to you yourself manage all the English stuff, because you are the experts. You were hired by the government to create all these spaces for English, and English is a national priority right now. So create your objectives, set your goals, get everything that you need, and do this. And the next semester, when we started working, we were assigned the groups. And here at school, we had different study programs. We have telesecundaria, but we have the program from 1995. And also we have the new ones from the program 2018. And also we have the elementary and preschool that have the 2012 and the 2018. So the first decision that we took is that everybody is going to get the 2018 program. And they say, it's okay. Everybody can get 6 hours for English. All the programs, it doesn't matter if it's in the Maya, we're going to cover it, and everybody's going to work with this new study program that you are bringing to us. And it was the first step that we took as an academy. It was our first decision that everyone is going to work the same. And at first it was very hard because the preschool students, they say, why should we learn English? What kind of qualifications do you have? Where are you coming from? You are not even normalistas. You're just another kind of things. So the first thing we needed to do was to prove ourselves. Okay, we have the knowledge and we have the attitude and we want to work. So we started working with the kids, and first we have to earn their respect, and they're accepted. They have to accept us. They have to accept that learning English is good for them. Even though if they're not going to teach it, for example, the ladies at preschool, they say, we're not going to teach a higher level. We don't need to know more than the colors. And it was hard to earn the trust and the you know, all this willingness to do this stuff. So we work on this, and the first semester we started having the courses, all the 2018 courses, and we started working like that. And we started getting good results. So this next thing we had to do as an academy, as a group, was to set our goals and make our project. We created a long-term project. And the first things we have to do was the principal gave us some guidelines. You know, we have to work with ISO and we have to work with CS and we need certifications. So to do this, we need to start assessing the students. It's the first thing we need to do. We need to know the level of English knowledge they have. So the first 2 semesters, we started with the Oxford placement test. It was the online test because the government gave us the money. They paid for all the students to have this test. And we have our results. But we say, okay, we know the English level, but now what are we going to do with this? Because we have a set courses that we have to follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it doesn't matter if the students are B1 right now or A0, because everybody's taking the same course. So we started nagging, that's the word. We nag our principal that we wanted to work by levels. This was one of the assignments that the government gave us at FIX. But they say, no, it's very hard. You cannot do it. Work as you have. You already have everybody working with your new program. Work with that. So, okay, we continue working like that, and we decided that we are going to evaluate the English level of all our students every year. But for the third semester that we were here, we didn't have money for the Oxford placement test. So they gave us the test, the written test, and they say, you can use it. So we converted it in Socrative, we uploaded there, and we started doing digitally all the students, the test. This way is easier and friendlier on the planet to evaluate and assess. And after that, we have to say, okay, we are evaluating, yes, how they arrive, but we also need to evaluate how they finish. So we decided that every year we're going to do a standardized test at the end of each semester. First, it was at the end of each year, and then we move it to the end of each semester to check how the students have advanced, if they arrived like this level and how much they have improved, or if they are the same. Other assignment that the principal wanted from us, it was to promote mobility. They say, we need the students to start moving around. I want them to travel, you know, to the States or other countries. We need this. It's also something that CS and ISO asked of us. We're going to discuss this part a little bit further on the talk, but we put it as one of our goals. We need to promote international mobility. Then the principal also wanted to have a multicultural environment here at school, but this one was a little bit hard to plan, because first we say, well, we have certain events that we can have here. We can do carols, we can practice for Thanksgiving, we can do something on Halloween, we can do something on this, but it's not enough. It's not enough to have like a multicultural environment. So what do we decide to do? We decide to work with extensive reading. That's some of the goals we set for our school. Apart from all the work that we have to do with the books and the course and all the plans, we decided that we were going to work with graded readers. We asked for it and we received money and we bought some books and we have our small reader library. We have different levels and different texts. But in this part, at first, it was very hard to start working with them. We had around 26 and 30 students, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and everybody got a different book. So it was hard to check that everyone was reading, all the things, the advancement, they give book reports, but it was hard to have something in common. So for the third semester that we started working with this, we decided that we were going to work with online books. In this case, it was going to continue with ebook readers. We found a free online page where we can have the materials and the books we started working. And we created academy projects. Everybody was going to read a different book in their courses, but we were going to have like a standardized things that we were going to ask. We were going to do mind maps, we're going to do timelines, a book report, tests, and each semester we agree on what we are doing for our extensive reading program as an academy. And every teacher in their classes implemented differently. We decided at first to work with classical books, we decided that we were going to work with books from classical American literature and British literature. So this way we can have all this multicultural environment at school. And we also have the events for Halloween and in Christmas. And little by little, we have been earning our spot inside the school, because first it was like, okay, we're not doing Halloween. We're in Mexico. We're going to do Dia de Muertos. Halloween is como apropiación cultural. We're not doing that. But little by little, we explain and we talk with our authorities, and they have been giving us the spots and the space. And of course, one of our goals is to become a certificate center. But for this, we needed spaces. And again, with the nagging, we need a lab, we need money, we need money for certifications. So at the end of all this work, they add us to the team for any then work. So every year we can ask for the things we need. And we have been asking the government and asking, and we finally managed to have a new building here at school with a lot of classrooms. And one of these classrooms is especially for us, it's an English lab. Now we have our spot. Now we have to again ask to receive equipment because we have the space, but right now it has books, it has movies, it has videos, but it doesn't have anything else. We don't have computers, we don't have anything else. But little by little, we have been earning a spot. And lastly, the thing that we managed to get at school is to get a spot in the organizational chart. We have all the coordinations and they have all their spot, and the English Academy has their own spot. And this is very important because now we have in a document here at school listed all our responsibilities and all the things that we have to do. And this is very important because that we have several changes in authorities. We have different principals, we have different vice principals, and also the government authorities are changing constantly. But now we manage, after all these 6 years, we managed to earn our spot and we have our responsibilities listed. And as an academy, we have managed little by little the autonomy to decide our own schedules, to decide which teacher is getting each groups, how are we going to work, what kinds of resources we ask for the government, what kind of books and everything that we work with. And we have managed little by little to earn this spot. This has been very interesting. So now I'm going to pass the torch to Ali, and he's going to continue sharing about our personal experience.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm going to continue telling you about our experience here at working at Ernst. First of all, when we first arrived here at the school, we started working with the default groups, as they are fixed throughout the whole major program. But we ran into problems or disadvantages very quickly with this. especially because we had all been working at schools where students are always assessed and placed at their respective level. So the first disadvantage was that the groups were very static, same students throughout the 4 years. This doesn't provide much of an experience, especially when interacting with others in a language course where you need to know how to communicate with many different people, you know. There wasn't much interaction with other students from different classrooms, with students from different majors. And the groups were very diversified. As Christina was telling you, we had students ranging from A0, students who had never taken an English course in their life. And we had also students who were reaching B1 level, and they were all in the same group. So how could we match, or how could we teach something that cover all of those levels in between? The courses were too fast for slow learners. If you remember, the 2018 program suggested we cover 8 units or 10 units or 12 units of the interchange books each semester, which was nearly impossible. And it was as well at the same time unchallenging and not engaging enough for the advanced learners. The students that already knew how to explain things that they had done during the summer, what they wanted to do in the future and stuff like that. We're getting bored of learning the alphabet, asking for basic information like what's your name, where are you from? So we started using these students, the advanced ones, as monitors, but that wasn't enough for them. What they wanted really to do was learning more in complicated stuff. They wanted to be prepared for certifications. So we decided to do some other actions in order to cope with this situation. We started a conversation club, but it only lasted 1 semester because during the semester that we worked with it, we had the conversation club from 1 to 3 p.m. when most of the students had already finished their classes. But next semester, it turned out that all of us had classes from 1 to 3 when we asked the principals to change our schedules in order that we could continue teaching or having this conversation club. They said not possible. So we started giving the students, the advanced students, harder books. We continue with the monitoring thing, but it just couldn't, it just wasn't enough. So, and also, as Christina told you, it wasn't possible to work with mixed groups. The principals told us that there just wasn't a way in which all the schedules could match in a specific form, that all the students could have English or at the same time, or that we could combine them in any way. So we had the schedule logistics were very hard to work out. But then the pandemic arrived. You know, when the COVID pandemic arrived, all the teaching and learning conditions changed drastically. It was very complicated at first, and here at this the Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán, we have a lot of students that come from rural areas, small towns in places far away from the city. So when they moved back to their hometowns during the pandemic, they didn't have good internet. Some of them didn't have internet at all, nothing, zero. We lost them during the pandemic. Some of them had problems at home. I remember many cases of students who lost their parent or one of their parents during the pandemic due to the sickness. And also many of our students started working, so they couldn't take classes every day online on Meet for many of these reasons. So we decided as a whole school that we were only going to teach one class a week in a synchronous way using Google Meet. And this class was mostly used for Q&A and for explaining the task at hand. And so we did as well, but you know that English requires lots of practice, lots of interaction. And since we were using the books, the printed books, we realized that we just couldn't continue using them anymore. So what to do when learning becomes asynchronous? Well, we realized we had to move to an online platform, which is academic. It was actually the one suggested by the HESUM at the time. We used it, we decided to choose it after we compared it with others. It was cheap, easy to use. It had a wide variety of types of exercises, and we could also submit our personalized evaluation criteria, rubrics, and stuff like that. And at first we started using the courses that came in it, but we realized soon that they had tons of mistakes and they were not very useful. So we had to create our own content. We created everything from scratch. You may be thinking, why am I mentioning this? What does this have to do with teaching and with networking at the Escuela Normal? Well, first of all, we realized that there were several advantages of asynchronous online teaching. First of all, the students worked basically individually, since they didn't have any sort of interaction outside the classes, because they didn't. They had to learn at their own rhythm, at their own pace, and they took advantage of the time flexibility. They worked whenever they could, wherever they could, even at work. I remember having tons of students during the classes, the only one class we had at a week, and they were working. They were at a store, they were doing all sorts of things. One of them was a taxi driver. And so they had to manage their own education, their own learning. And since everything was created individually, they didn't have to work with others. They were learning on their own inside the platform, both for them and for us teachers. And also, we realized that it was possible thus that to place students at the real language level. What did this mean? That we already had tons of courses inside this platform. Students were learning on their own. They were learning individually. And we realized, okay, let's make students take different courses according to what they know. All right, okay.
Sorry, we're having some connectivity problems.
¿Et votó?
Los vemos y los escuchamos.
Okay.
Ay, perdón, es que nos votó. Sorry.
Okay, creo que te votó. Okay. Well, as I was telling you, we realized that it was possible to place students at their corresponding level. So we decided again to assess all the students at the beginning of the semester and to set them in different groups depending on the level they had. So the advanced ones were in advanced level, and the slower ones were in the beginner levels. So how did this work? Well, we created blocks of 3 groups to avoid class overlapping as much as possible. And we did it this way. For example, we have 3 major programs here. We had preschool education, elementary school education, and telesecondary education. So we took the first semester group A from each of these major programs, and we combined them, we assessed them, and then we got the results. For example, we had the 8 students that were ranging from A0 to A1, 27 in A2 level, and 25 in A2 B1. So we decided to keep the groups like this. One group of starters, one group of basic, and one group of intermediate, considering that each one of these groups had students from the 3 major programs. This way, it wasn't hard for us to find a spot during the week in which they were all free and we could take the course at that moment. And we started working this way. At least during the whole pandemic, it worked fine. It worked just fine. But then when we had to return to face-to-face classes here at the school, we thought about how to continue working like this, with the students separated by levels according to the results in the placement test. The principals, of course, told us at first that it wasn't possible, that we have to go back to teaching the groups as default as they are, and we couldn't combine we couldn't combine them anymore. So we thought, well, what are we going to do with this? So we thought of a proposal, and we created a schedule like this. So, for example, here, if you see the first on Monday, the first class on Monday from 7 to 9, we have only first semester A, but it doesn't say what major it is. But we had students from the 3 majors there, from preschool, telesecundaria, and elementary education. Okay, and we set them in blocks of 3. So this meant that all the groups, all the first semester group A from each major were taking English at the same time in 3 days. Okay, and therefore we did the same with all the others. If you see, there are only 6 colors here because each color represents 3 groups. So in total, we had the 18 groups of that we had at the normal. This way, we could work with the students without having overlapping, and we could continue having the mix. So when they arrive at the school and they had classes, we split the groups. And each student went to the classroom, went to the teacher that was teaching the level they were assigned to. At first, we thought that the teachers, well, the principals might say no. There was some, they were not very sure of this, how this would work, but we gave them the schedule a lot of time before the semester started. And they said, okay, let's see if we can work around the schedule that you have chosen. So the person that was in charge of making the schedule for the rest of the teachers here at the Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán said, okay, so I'm going to avoid assigning teachers to the schedules that you have chosen for a specific group. And so they did, and it worked just fine. It was actually easy because they didn't have to make the schedule for the teachers, for the English teachers, which we were 4. So we were making some of the work for them already. And they said, okay, continue with it. So what were the advantages of working with mixed groups by levels? First of all, the groups were more homogeneous. We didn't have many students ranging from very basic to very advanced or anything. We, of course, had some students, for example, that were already in B1, some that were already in A2, or maybe some students that were in A1 with others that were already A2. But still, the difference wasn't as prominent as it was at first. We could cover more advanced topics with proficient groups, and we could also finish the syllabus earlier. So we realized that if we finish the syllabus by 5th semester, we could use the last semester, the 6th semester in which they had the last course of English as a TOEFL preparation course. And so we started teaching the TOEFL preparation course for the advanced learners, and we have been doing so for the last 4 years. Therefore, we could have students that are ready to take certification in English, specifically the TOEFL one. So at first, the first year we certified we sent to the TOEFL exam around 10 students and also some teachers and some people from the administrative spots. And then next year we had 15, and we have been sending more and more students to get certifications. Last year we certified a total of 50 students. We cannot do the certification right here because we don't have the conditions, but we send them to Harmon Hall, which we have here in Tehuacán, and they give us a reduced price for it. And we could also have more time and target practice for the lower level groups, which require, of course, going a little bit slower sometimes. And we could go faster with advanced groups. And one thing that was very nice was that the students could repeat a course, not the beginners because they were already in the lowest level. But for example, if we had students that were in the advanced level, in the advanced group, and they realized they were not cutting it there, they could go back 1 level or maybe sometimes 2 levels, because we also had students that cheated at the Oxford placement test and got really good results. And once they were in classes, they realized, no, I'm not good enough for this. Or they simply told us, teacher, I actually cheated at the exam. I didn't get those results. Somebody else did it for me, stuff like that. So we could send them back. And that was the way we were working with the 2018 programs. But of course, the 2022 study programs arrived and things changed drastically again. First of all, there was a huge reduction in English class hours in all the major programs, especially the ones that the one that was the most affected was elementary school education major, which had six courses of 6 hours a week, and it was reduced to 3 courses, 4 hours a week. This implied a reduction of 66%. So they were basically only covering a third of what they were covering in the 2018 program. So this created some problems with the way we were working, because first of all, we couldn't continue combining the groups. For example, preschool has 6 levels of English, telesecundaria does as well, but they have a different focus. While preschool is focusing mostly on learning English, telesecundaria is focusing a lot on how to teach the language. So the programs are not compatible anymore. And we couldn't continue combining students of different major programs. So what could we do was to combine only the 2 groups that we have in each semester per major. For example, instead of combining the first semester group A of each major program, we only combine the first semester group A and B of preschool, no? And we started doing that with the rest as well. So, for example, right now, we don't have any students of the 2018 program taking English courses because they are already in 7th semester. And now all of our students are taking English. All of our students are in the 2022 study program, so they are working only like this. We mix 2 groups, the first A, first B. We assess their level and we split them. This doesn't work as well as we would like to, but it still works better than having the groups fixed as they are, but by default. And this allows us to at least have a little bit of separation, because we still have some students that are B1, some students who arrive are already B2, and they cannot be working with the students that are A0. All right, so and that's the way we are working now. And I'm going to tell you now a little bit about our mobility program that we have at the Escuela Normal Superior de Tehuacán. It's not an academic mobility program, that I must make clear, because you know there are very few calls to send students abroad, and sometimes the students just cannot take them, right? But we have a program in which students are sent to summer camps in the United States. We have one huge advantage, which is that one of us FIX is actually a direct contact with a can recruit agency in the United States, which is called CCUSA. He's actually a recruiter himself, so he's the one who leads the students throughout the whole process. He helps them out to fill the forms, to make the request, to get the letters for recommendation, and stuff like that. He knows everything about the whole process, and students can go without any problems whatsoever. At other universities, students are on their own when they want to do this. We also had to reach an agreement, because since we wanted to do this, students were eager to go to camps in the United States. We had to talk to the principals. We had to talk to the coordinators of each major program here at the school to ask them for a chance to let the students go, because they go for about 9 weeks. So when they go, they miss the last weeks of the semester, and when they return, they usually have missed the first 2 weeks of the next semester. So in order to avoid having problems with other teachers, we have some consideration for the students that go. So when students leave for camps, they leave before finishing the semester. They talk to the teachers, and as teachers assign them work to send while they're over there, or sometimes the teachers ask them to finish their work before leaving. This way, we avoid problems, and students can actually take advantage of this opportunity, this experience. Students have to make an initial investment of approximately 24,000 pesos. But when they finish their contract, or well, they get paid around $2,000. So they get everything they invested back and a little bit more. Each year, we have more students going. The first time we had students going to the United States, we had only 2, I think, 2 or 3. then we had 4, 6, then we had 8, and last year we had 16 students going. This year, well, this time, it looks like we're going to have even more, around maybe 25 students going to the United States, because when students go and then came back, they share their experiences. They explain to other students what they did, what they learned, what they saw. And everybody's eager to go to the summer camps in the United States because this experience broadened their horizon. And also they get to meet people from all over the world. They meet people from Asia, from all of Europe, from Latin America, from Africa even. So it's a very enlightening experience for our students, and they really like it. Here you can see some pictures of what our students share from their experiences there. Here, actually, in this picture, in the far right, you can see some of our students there. The first one with glasses and also the first one on the other side that is making the sign peace, the peace sign. All right, and also another important thing is that they realize that language, learning a second language, is a very important and enriching experience for them. It's going to help them. So when they come back, they are eager to learn more English, and they share their experience. And now everybody's eager to learn English, okay? Because they want to go, they want to take advantage of these experiences. But what matters most is that we couldn't have done any of this if we hadn't presented it as a front. That's what mattered the most from our talk, and Christina is going to continue telling you about it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ali. So just for our closing, for us right now, when we arrive at the 2012 programs, we noticed from the start that we were going to get this cut with this reduction, and that things were going to change drastically, especially with the elementary program. In here, we were going to get some issues. So what we did as an academy, first, it's analyze the Mayas curriculares. And we saw that they have some spots. They have some empty spots in the first and in the second semester. So we checked, and in elementary school, they had six free hours. These hours were supposed to be there so the students can do autonomous work and we read and other kind of stuff. So what we did is that we make a huge presentation. Since we are an academy, we have the record of every year, all the results from the students, how they arrived from the beginning, how they finish each semester, and we make a huge pie chart. And we did a presentation, and we call all our school authorities, and we say, look, we have been here working these 5 years, and we have these results. The students have moved from the levels. We are earning their certifications. We are covering all the requirements for ISO, for CES. We are having mobility. We have motivated students to learn. They want to learn. It's very different. So from when we started, the student rejected English. It was like the stinking class, the awful class. But now the students love it. They want to be in the classes. They want to do the work. They want to do the things, and they want to have the opportunity to move to other places. So we say we have these spaces and we have these results. And if we do the cuts that they ask us to do, we're going to lose this. And the authorities said, okay, we can try your way. We can take these hours and we can give for first and second semester elementary degree, you can have the classes. So you have to create the courses. You're going to do your extracurricular courses and you're going to give them. So we said, yes, we're going to do the work, we're going to do it. But now we have the poor people from telesecundaria and preschool. They only have 4 hours and they have in the Maya space for 2 hours. They have 2 free hours. Give it to us. And they say, okay, we're going to give you the hours. So now we're working 6 hours a week for English in our 3 programs, the first 3 semesters, even though they are not in the Maya curricular and they are not in the plans. So we are taking advantage of this because especially the first semester, the first two, they don't go to practice that much. So we have more time with them. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth semester, they go to practice a lot of time. So the classes are cut, they are interrupted, we have less hours of actual classes. But in first and second semester, the practice time is less. So we can have more for English. And the school says, okay, we have this faith in you, you have been working well, and we are going to give you this space. But this was a big negotiation, and obviously we have to give something back. So they assign us commissions that maybe they are not related to English. In my case, yes, I still kept the coordination for the English department, but one of my fix got the mobility commission, but it's great because he's been doing the camping thing, and Ali got seguimiento de egresados, and it's also cool. He has a very certain requirements that make him good for this. But we have been, a give and take, negotiating with the authorities. We have been given more asesorados por titulación, and we are giving back to the school, but they are also giving us a space and autonomy to make our decisions. But this has been a work of doing, marketing. We have been selling our word, the English department can do this for the school. And we have been positioning the school as a leading English teaching school in our region. For example, during the propedeutical course, when all the students arrive, since now Ceneval asks for English spots, we give the course, and the students arrive and they feel, wow, they have good English teachers. They are taking English seriously here at the Escuela Normal Superior. So we have been doing the work, and sometimes, it's a bit tedious that you have to take the courses and do this and that, and sometimes it's the same, but it's very important to do this part, the part of negotiating, so you can receive the benefits and reap all the rewards of doing this. Usually we like to see our networking skills to the outside of the Escuela Normal, with our fix, other colleagues. But it's very important to work also to the inside, to get these spots, to manage with the school authorities, all these things. Because, the authorities, they change. They are not going to be the same people. So you need to have this spot, you need to have the documentation, you need to do all the work so you can keep working as an academy. This for us has been a very good experience. And the work that we've been doing as a marketing agent, we have been selling the benefits that CS get from us. Because when they ask us for information for CS, here we have the results. Here we have the information. Here we have all the things that we need. And we have our book, where the first principal that we have, he signed the creation of our academy, and we did everything by the book. And now we have these benefits of being an academy and having autonomy to take decisions for the school, to ask for things, to give proposals, and for being listened to. And this for us has been very, very important. We have also been doing some work to the outside with other FICs. Last year, we have a spelling bee contest, and this spelling bee, first we have it inside the school, we choose our best students and everything, and then we have the contest with other two normales from the region. We invited Acatlan and Chiautla, and they came, and we have the event, and it was very nice, and it was a great practice, and we have a great collaboration. But the first step to have a collaboration to the outside is to have a good teamwork and a good collaboration to the inside of our own schools. Because usually we like to look at the outside. What can other FICs can do for us? What the authorities can do for us? But we are not looking what our principal, our coordination, and our colleagues can do for us. And so this is all from our part. Thank you very much for being here and listen to our personal experience here at Normal Superior de Tehuacán. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this fantastic conference about organizational networking. It reminded me, and most of us watching here, the beginning of our journey at Normales back to 2018. It was an interesting conference, and we have several comments on YouTube congratulating you on your conference. And we also have a couple of questions from the audience for you. Miss Maricruz from Escuela Normal Superior de México asks the following. Now that you are more experienced, reflective, and critical thinking English teachers, how can the compulsory English curriculum in normal schools be adjusted?
Okay, I can take that one. Here, what we are doing, for example, since we are working by levels, but we have a specific curriculum. So what do? We have to make adjustments every semester. For example, in telesecundaria. In telesecundaria, we have two objectives. The first one is the language acquisition, and the second one is the teaching, learning how to teach English. So what do we do here? We, in both groups, the advanced group and the beginners group, we give the English, the teaching English part, we keep it as it is. But with the beginning group, we take the curriculum that we have and make adjustments, obviously. But with the advanced group, we change the curriculum because we cannot teach the same things that are there. We adjust it to the necessities and the level of the group. And we combine it with the topics that we have to give. For first semester, we have to create an observational guide for the next practice. And in second semester, we have to work with all the information on how to make a lesson plan. So we have to combine the language acquisition topics and all the projects with these things that they are asked in the national curriculum. But we do it by the necessities of each group. We have the level, we have the assessment from the last semester, and we make adjustments. We sit all together, and as an academy, we said, we have these topics, we have these things, and we have these students that have these issues. What are we going to do? And all together, we manage and we decide all together how are we going to work, even if it's not our group. We all give suggestions, we listen to each other, and we implement it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. A comment from Jacqueline Figueroa Saldívar from Escuela Normal de Maestros, Escuela Nacional de Maestros de Jardín de Niños. Is kind of working with a similar approach. Original groups are mixed according to level, so reaching and learning can be more focused. Efforts have been made to provide students with opportunities for them to improve their language skills and also introduce the basic of language teaching. There's another question for you, Christina and Ali. Congratulations for everything you have done and gotten. It does make a huge difference when there's support from principals. How did you manage that?
Okay, I'll take this question. Well, first of all, we were really lucky because, as Christina was saying at first, when we arrived here at the Escuela Normal, there was a lot of rejection from other teachers, but the principal was very embracing with us. He was eager to get more teachers with a plaza here at the school because there were so little. We still have only like, I don't know, maybe we're like 10 teachers with a plaza here, and having 3 full-time teachers arriving all at once was like huge. It was like we don't have to pay these teachers because the government is already paying. So we were a good resource. So the teacher, the principal that was here was very embracing. And he set the basis for us having the opportunities to improve, to work together. We know that in other normales, teachers, when they arrive, they are split. You're going to work in this major program. You're going to work in preschool. You're going to work in telesecundaria, and so on and so forth. But here, since the beginning, they told us you're going to work as a team. But I suppose it's just a bit of luck. But also, when we got the opportunity, we decided not to waste it. We decided to start working actually as a front, as a team, and we worked all together to create an academy project to to create the tools, the assessment tools, for example, the material we were going to use in the courses, and also we presented ourselves with everyone else as the English team. So that's it. After when that principal had to go to a different school, to a different spot, and the new one started, we had to continue selling ourselves as the English team. We were not going to be split even with a new principal. So we had to present our results and to explain, as Christina said, the benefits of having us working independently from other teachers, from all the majors.
Thank you. And could you share with us the contact with CCUSA? Some of the teachers are asking for this contact. Is it possible?
Yes, you will have to ask the teacher who is in charge of this. He's not right here. Well, he's not here right now. But yes, we can ask him for the contact to get other normales to have the same opportunities that our students have here.
Yeah.
Of course, we will be glad to share it.
Thank you very much, Ali. Well, I'm going to ask you just to stay in the room because we have diploma for you, recognition for your participation in this conference. And we have reached already the end of this first hour. Time flies. And I thank you very much for your presentation. It was fantastic. And we will see each other in a future time. Thank you very much, Christina and Ali, for your participation. I pass on the word to Carolina Maturano. Thank you very much.
Gracias, maestro. Agradecemos también a nuestros invitados y compartimos pantalla para hacer la lectura de los reconocimientos, por favor. La Autoridad Educativa Federal en la Ciudad de México, a través de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio, otorgan el presente reconocimiento a Cristina de los Ríos Valdés, ponente, Ali Ramírez Ruiz, ponente, y Carlos da Silva Elvas, moderador, por su participación en la Conferencia Magistral 1, Organizational Networking, en el marco del cuarto Conversatorio de Inglés, Building Collaborative Networking Among English Normal Teachers. Construir comunidades de colaboración entre docentes de inglés en escuelas normales, que se llevó a cabo en modalidad virtual. Firma Eugenio Aurelio López López, director general, octubre 2024. Enseguida, tenemos el panel de experiencias de egresados de la licenciatura en enseñanza del inglés de la Escuela Normal Superior de México, The English Bachelor's Program at ENSM Perspective from Graduates, para lo cual cedo la palabra al moderador de esta actividad, Javier Aguirre Mendino. Adelante, por favor.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Carolina Maturano. Good afternoon, colleagues, teachers, students, graduates, and the community. Welcome to this panel of graduates from the Escuela Normal Superior de México, subordinated to the topic, the English Bachelor's Program at Escuela Normal Superior de México, Perspective from Graduates from Mexico. During which we will listen to 4 graduates' experiences after leaving the Escuela Normal Superior de México, to whom I give the most cordial welcome. It's high time I introduce our guests I have with me. First, teacher Fabricio Alejandro Alaniz Espejel, teacher at the Sara Alarcón School, welcome to our panel, teacher Fabricio. Then, teacher Germán Aguayo Bedoya, English teacher at the Vallejo College of Sciences and Humanities. Welcome to our panel, teacher Germán. Then we have teacher Brian Martínez Rodríguez, English teacher at the Escuela Normal Superior de México. Welcome to our panel, teacher Brian. And teacher Floribón Chávez Ángel, English teacher at the school anexa to the Normal Superior de México. Welcome to our panel. So I would like to explain the dynamics of our panel. We have 3 rounds of questions, and each of you will have 5 minutes to answer the questions. At the end of the round of questions, we will make final considerations and conclude our panel. To start our panel this afternoon, I would like you to share with the audience a little about yourselves. Graduates, you have 2 minutes to make a short introduction about yourself. Sorry. So, teacher Brian.
Thank you, teacher Javier. I don't know if you can hear me well over there. So, is my audio correct?
It's okay.
Yeah. Perfect. So, hey everybody, I am teacher Brian Martinez Rodriguez. I graduated from Escuela Normal Superior back in 2019. I'm currently working there, so I'm happy to be back in my alma mater, now giving a little bit of myself to the school that has provided me quite a lot through all these years. I'm also a teacher here at UAM, unit is Iztapalapa, which I also teach English, and I've been what can I say else? Like, I love being a teacher. I've been a teacher for almost 10 years now. And for me, teaching is everything in my life. This is what I do. I've been working so hard to develop my students' abilities and learning from them to improve myself as a teacher as well.
Thank you, teacher Brian. Thank you very much. Now, Miss Floribón, can you tell us something about yourself, please?
I'm more than pleased to be here today. Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me. My name is Floribón Chávez Ángel. I have been a teacher since 2016 at the Secundaria Nexa. I was a student at the Normal Superior from 2012 to 2016. Nowadays, I'm about to get my master's degree, and it makes me so happy. Nowadays, I am interested in being a teacher, but for students who are in primary school, so who are near my home, and I think that I can provide them lots of resources. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Miss. And now, teacher Germán Aguayo, can you tell us something about yourself, please?
Of course. Firstly, I want to say hello to everyone here and also present myself. Like you said, my name is Germán. Everyone call me that. I'm 33 years old. I'm from the generation from the 20 to 24. So I recently got my degree. It is pretty much a recent thing that happened to me. The greatest thing that happened to me, if I'm honest, since I discovered that I love to be a teacher. I really like to enjoy the time with my students, to teach to them, but I also learn a lot from them. I'm a father and husband nowadays, and I try to be the best person I can every single time. And this work for me is like giving me the opportunity to transcend for my students. So I like take advantage of that, take advantage of every opportunity I have to learn from them, to teach them. And nowadays I can say that being a teacher improved my life a lot, even though that I'm starting this incredible and amazing path, right? Because I recently got a degree, but I'm doing my best nowadays. So that's it.
Okay, teacher Germán, thank you very much. And teacher Fabricio, what can you tell us about yourself? We can't hear you, teacher.
Okay, can you hear?
That's okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for having me here today. My name is Fabricio. I'm 34 years old. I'm an alumnus from the class of 2022. I left school 2 years ago, and I've been working for 2 years now at Colegio Sara Alarcón, which is a private school. And what I like about my job right now is that it's a multicultural school. We have students from different nationalities, and I've had the chance to learn a lot from them. And that takes me back to the other point. I feel the most rewarding part about being a teacher is that it's not that you only teach them, but they teach you a lot. Then they, like life lessons wise, in this case, culture, language, ways of thinking, and they can always help you, stay fresh. Because given my age, I don't have the same interest, but being with them all the time makes me feel that I'm up to date with everyone. So basically, that's it.
Okay, teacher Fabricio, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing a part of your experiences with us. And now let's start with our conversation. And remember, I'm going to repeat the dynamic. It consists that we are going to have 3 rounds of questions, and each of you will have 5 minutes to answer them. Okay, any doubts, teachers? Okay, let's start with the first question. Okay, I would like to start our panel by asking the following question to you all. And the question is, what were the most important achievements you obtained during and after completing the program? Teacher Brian, would you like to be the first, please?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question to be asked. I believe the great achievements I got during my and after being out of the Normal Superior was to get the scholarships, which at that time were part of the curriculum. First to the United States, second to Ireland, first time. And because of that scholarship, back in 2019, just when I got graduated, I got the opportunity to meet people from Ireland. I got to get the opportunity to meet people from all over the world who gave me the opportunity to also did my master's back in Ireland in 2020 and 2021. So the opportunity that Normal gave me to be abroad, to experience new people, new worlds, new curricula in teaching and education was one of the things that I consider was life-changing, and that allows me the opportunity of expand myself or had a different perspective from the world, and which allowed me also to be in different schools and of course to get the opportunity to work in different areas. So I'll say that the scholarships were one of the most highlighted achievements I got during my time there.
Okay, teacher Brian. Yes, I know. I remember when you got your scholarship because you get your master's degree in Ireland, right? Okay, thank you very much, teacher Brian. And now it's your turn, Miss Floribon. What can you tell us about this question? Do you want me to repeat it to you?
Oh, it's okay. Thanks.
Okay.
I had similar experience because one of my greatest achievements that I had while I was studying, it was that I had the opportunity to get 2 scholarships. The first one, it was to take an English course at private university. It was in 2014. It was part of the program Proyectas 100,000. It was part of the government, American and Mexican government. And it was more than delighted to be there because once that I was there, I had the opportunity to explore the city that never sleeps. with my family. So
So sorry, Miss. Can't hear you. I think that your internet signal is low. Okay, I think that Miss Flor has a little bit problem with her internet signal. Can we continue with your teacher, Fabricio? What can you tell us about this first question? What were the most important, the most significant achievements you obtained during and after completing the program? Can you share your experiences with us, please?
Of course. Well, firstly, just as teacher Brian said, there, there's a variety of offers. You can take some sort of programs overseas. Actually, they invited me to take I think it was a week to Ireland to work with. I think it was teaching skills for a disabled students. I'm not really sure. It was for inclusiveness, and I couldn't go because my passport was expired. It's actually I couldn't go. But besides that, personally speaking, when I started working there, I had already been working as a teacher for 6 years. So what I got mainly was the experience, well, the expertise from my professors. They were always there to give me a lending hand. They were always there to support me with, reshaping the way in which I saw or understood teaching. They also made me understand a clearer vision of what my place as an educator was. I learned that I had to be more responsible, a more humane teacher, because I was always, a little bit unwilling to get involved with students, with their issues. To be more resourceful and resilient, because all the time they were telling us, oh, if you don't understand how things work here, well, you will be surprised that they're not very different when you are part of the Ministry of Education. So we are preparing you for life. So just take it as it is. I think something else I could achieve, but being a trainee teacher during the last year, I could see I could see all my efforts come to fruition when I saw that what my experience and what I had agreed to learn and implement from what I had learned with my teachers, I could help some main teachers achieve their goals. I remember my practicum year was in Escuela Normal Superior. Actually, I got the chance to hear the coordinator mention Miss Floribon a couple of times, but we never got to meet because she was in the other shift. And I could prove myself that I was suitable for the job, at least during that year. I could help the students and the teacher with a fresher approach, something different to what they were used to. I count that as a personal achievement too. And among those achievements that I think I could get there it was leaving a mark with some cultural activities, for example, for Thanksgiving, for the 4th of July, anything that's related to American or English culture. I think that made it more significant to them. After graduating, I could say that being a normalist, I can count on the reputable name of my alma mater, because many HR directors or many coordinators say, you're a normalista. Doors are open for you. We just need to see that you meet all the requirements, right? And also, I believe that throughout these last 2 years here at the school where I am right now, I think I have been able to contribute with my experience both as a teacher before Escuela Normal, but also after Escuela Normal, because something that is a trademark, let's say, feature of our alma mater is giving this humane sense, this holistic humane sense to the way we teach. It's not only being prepared professional, but also emotionally and possibly psychologically, if the word fits, right? I think that's what I could say.
Okay, Teacher Fabricio, thank you very much. And I am agreeing something you said. We have our alma mater, Escuela Normal Superior, like a tattoo in our souls, right? Okay, thank you very much. Now it's your turn, Teacher Herman. What can you tell us about your experience and how did you link it with this question?
Well, thank you for letting me answer this because it's very much an interesting question to answer. I like see this in two different dimensions, both personally and professionally, right? It was for me, it was not just like the academic endeavor, right? It was a deeply transformative experience that shaped me in different ways. Like I said, in this specific question, I'm going to answer in both ways, personally and professionally, breaking the answer into. For the personal level, it was significant since I had this realization that, well, first of all, I didn't have the idea that I have what it takes to be an effective teacher when I enter into the NASM. So it was just a bet to check if I was enough to be a teacher, since I was like able to use my English to make a conversation, to work, I don't know, call centers, where my previous experiences working before this. But even though that I have these doubts, whether if I have the thing that you need to stay in front of a classroom to manage students, to impart knowledge in a meaningful way, I did it, right? And one of those achievements was undoubtedly that with that uncertainty, like I was carrying that uncertainty all the time, or at least the first semesters, I went through the process, and the professional practice was the biggest thing that I have been through in my life, since like I realized from this experience that I have what it takes to be in the front of these students, especially with secondary school students, right? They are pretty much a difficult level to work with, and this is the first achievement I can like. It came to my mind right away, and then secondly, personally, after completing the degree, I was like trying to get a job, right? The first milestone I needed was to secure a place in where I like develop my skills, because professionally you need a real work as a teacher, and I got this opportunity in CCH Vallejo, where I'm like working right now, and I feel and I felt like really welcome when like teacher Fabricio said, when they know that you came from any Escuela Normal Superior, they like open the doors right away, and I felt that. I felt welcomed, I felt respected, I felt really valued, professionally speaking, and the job I get there like makes me so much happy. So I really I'm super thankful to NSM for that. And as well, another dimension that I personally I got from this experience in this program was becoming into a better father, since all the classes, all the lessons, all the materials, all the interactions that I have through all the program helped me a lot becoming into a better father. I'm not perfect. Anybody is perfect, right? When we are speaking about raising a kid. But for me, it was a big deal improvement becoming into a better father. So that would be my answer for this.
Thank you, teacher. And of course, we feel very proud of that. Okay, thank you very much. So let's continue with, thank you for your valuable answers. And to continue, I could ask you the following question. To what extent did the bachelor's program in English at Escuela Normal Superior help you achieve your professional and personal goals? Teacher Brian, please.
Thank you. Would you like to repeat me the question, please?
Of course. To what extent did the bachelor's program in English at Escuela Normal Superior de México help you achieve your professional and personal goals?
That's a very deep question, I guess. I'll say that the way the curriculum was implemented back in that day was excellent for me in terms of teaching abilities, which was mainly what it was focused. The idea back then was, and I guess it's still on, was to form not only teachers that can tell or can describe topics very well explained, but also to create human beings that can care for their students and can comprehend their students' behavior through a different view, not only from the eye of a teacher, but also from the eye, you know, as a human person who is forcing themselves or facing the world, and they are actually right now focusing on learning a new language. So, but the idea was, you know, you have to be more comprehensible. You have to be more responsible of what you're teaching, on how you're teaching, and how you're going to also not only, you know, just transmit the knowledge, but understand and comprehend your students' behaviors. You know, that also helps me to be a better person, eventually analyzing, you know, exploring the new curriculum, exploring the new perspective of teaching also allowed me to be a better person around me, to, you know, be more conscious of what I was doing, to explore to new ideas, to be open and not narrow-minded, to be, you know, a human being that can also, you know, be inside the classroom and be the same person outside the classroom, be for the students, be you know, like a guider, not only just a mentor, not only just teacher, not only just the person who is going to be there and saying, come on, do this, do that, but a person that can also understand what they're going through, that can guide them through their life and can be a support for them. So I'll say that at that time where I was teacher, when I was a student back in the Normal Superior, there was this teacher, Diana Castellon, was always telling us about being different moods and talking. She was using a metaphor of a hat. You know, you have to put on a hat of teacher, and then you have to take off the hat of teacher and be also human. And she was also saying that sometimes we leave the hat of teacher for a very long time, and that becomes our, you know, our personality. When sometimes we have to be more like a human being teacher, not just a teacher that being human, you know. So I'll say that's what helps me the most through my whole career, you know, be a more approachable person, both in the classroom and outside the classroom.
Thank you very much, Teacher Brian. And of course, nowadays we as teachers, we need to see our students as human beings, not like objects, right? So thank you very much. Miss Flor, can you give us your experience about this question, please?
Yes, sure. I think that my internet connection is better now. First of all, I would like to mention some important details about my professional goals. I think that without any hesitation, I can share with you that getting a place in the public service and a secondary, in a well-regarded secondary school, it was one of my biggest achievements, and it highly impacts in my life, since now that I have the opportunity to work with the students, with teenagers, I had the way to approach and to apply everything that I have learned there. For example, I had the opportunity to enhance my abilities in designing curriculum, management classroom, and also to lesson planning. I think that without any doubt, I can say that this program fostered my passion for education, which has been crucial not only for my teaching career, but also for I discovered the passion that I have inside. It was all related to the professional goal. However, in the personal, since I have this place in a public school, I have been doing some practical researches with my students, and I think that I need to take advantage of this position. So I have to be updated with the latest strategies that I have nowadays. And also it's important to mention that the normal superior set and mindset in my curriculum to continuous study, learn, and so I can have a positive impact in my students every day, but also with my colleagues and with some ex-classmates that I am in contact with.
Thank you very much, Miss Flor. Now, teacher Germán, what can you tell us about these questions according to your experience?
Thank you. Once more, it is very much an honor to be able to try to answer this. Once more again, I'm going to divide my answer into different parts, the professional one and the personal one. And the first one is on the professional level. Well, the goal was to become into a professional teacher, right? And this involves the part, the pedagogical part, and the cultural part, right? Those skills need to be mixed, and you get the excel to in this field in teaching English, right? And understanding that was part of my development, and NASM was totally responsible for letting me succeed in these different dimensions. The confidence that I have now, the precision that I have to understand in a more deeper way this discipline, it is greater. And the program as well, all the courses, the parts of this program, mostly the immersive part of this program, exposure me to different methodologies, different people, to all kinds of cultures, right? And that refined my skills in a professional level. And then we have, I don't know, maybe I can extend the answer, saying that in this interconnected world, I feel myself as a more capable and adapting teacher, since I got through the whole program. And I don't know, now speaking about the personal level, I will say that it had a profound impact, since when you are advancing through this process and you get in touch with this part of public speaking and presentation of to your students, the trying to getting them engaged in this complex relation, teacher-student relation, you become into a better individual. Like teacher Ryan said, it's a mandatory thing to do, trying to see humans as holistic humans, not only a part of those humans, the human as an integral part of the society, right? And that's what I got from here, from the program. And another thing I could say that, like I said in the previous answer, right? As well, getting or improving my role as a father, my dedication, my patience, my empathy was crucial, not only in this relationship, but in my relationship with everybody. That would be my answer to this question.
Thank you very much, Teacher Germán. Now, Teacher Fabricio, it's your turn. What can you tell us about your experience according to this question?
To my view, there are, there are different things that I could say I could achieve thanks to having graduated from ENSM. I was also glad to hear Ms. Diana Castañon mentioned by Teacher Raya. At some point, I criticized some of her methods, but in the end, I could understand the rationale behind why she did that. Once again, I could say that something that enriched my practicum is the expertise of my professors. Many of them had different approaches. Some of them looked outdated at the beginning, but then throughout time, I think especially when I started doing my thesis, I could understand that you can be eclectic. You can have a mix of everything, and it depends on how you apply it, the kind of students you applied with. For example, a working with culture so that you could learn vocabulary, namely here with late Dr. Enrique Chombo, right, who we lost to COVID, unfortunately. He set a great example of how we can live culture, or we can live language through culture, right, through celebrating, through watching movies, through reading, and I think that left an important mark in my way of understanding how to learn or acquire the language. They also helped us procedure-wise. They trained us in terms of filling out forms, preparing a lesson plan, how to deal with paperwork. All that is essential. It doesn't look that important, and of course, it is never enough, because once you are there, once you are working, you see that you are never ready. You always need to keep improving yourself all the time, and that's something I think we learned as well, as I mentioned before, to be resilient and adaptable. I believe I could also reinforce some of my study skills, because we were given English lessons, and even though I was doing some other things at times, my teachers were very supportive with me, and I think I could refine some of my skills, especially when we were given IELTS skills, IELTS strategies for exams. I think halfway through our major, we were provided with a sense of routines and a school culture. I believe that many of my colleagues might agree that depending on the center where you're working at, school culture is not present. But as a normalista, if you are still convinced that you can make a small change with your small contributions, the sense of school culture can make a great difference. For example, in the school where I am right now, I didn't propose it, but someone is now in charge of that. Right now, they're working with having the ceremony every week, the anthem of the school, the national anthem. Having unity does make a difference, right? I do it with my students, I believe. Something I believe I apply is like giving them some sort of roles in class so that they can feel useful. They feel that they are considered. Just as Teacher Germán mentioned, sometimes it's really hard to cope with students and their their flowing emotions. So making them feel that you care about them makes a huge difference. That's why I believe they feel they can approach the English teachers at times, because we don't have to deal with science, with everything that has to do with the rigor of a procedures on its own, right? So I think that's something important that made a difference there. Unfortunately, I'm not part of the public service right now, because I couldn't I couldn't get my CENI degree on time. It's a shame, but I would like to try sometime soon, because if possible, I would like to give something back to either to students at middle school level, or you never know, as a teacher trainer. Yeah, that's it.
And you will get it, teacher. Thank you very much. And as you said, we need to take experiences from our teachers, right? From them, we took, for example, the methods, approaches, how to make a lesson plan, for example, right? So thank you very much to all of you. Now, thank you for your answers. And as you know, in this moment, students from Escuela Normal Superior, especially the future English teachers, are watching us, right? And the next question is, what could you recommend to the students of the Bay Colors program? Teacher Brian.
Sorry, I couldn't hear it correctly. So would you mind just one more time repeating it?
Okay, of course. What would you recommend to the students of this Bay Colors program?
Oh, yeah. So now as a teacher, I have the opportunity to talk a lot with the students and to tell them all the experience I had, all the things that I've done, and to have conversations with them about what should they do and what should they don't do, or what should they avoid or try to do a little bit more. I had the opportunity to actually interact a little bit with Herman from one semester, and yeah, we had the opportunity to chat, you know. So definitely one of the things that probably I didn't receive from my teachers, but I definitely experienced firsthand, was to fail. Fail was one of, I mean, to make mistakes, to fail, to do and be a teacher, and then when you're trying to, you know, trying to new things, and then those things doesn't work, and you're like, my God, what am I gonna do? Like this thing that was taught in the normal superior, when I did it in the normal superior, you know, it was perfect, executed. And when I do it now in real life, it probably doesn't work as in the same way it used to work, you know? So failing is the way you are actually going to know how to be, or how to improve, how to recognize yourself. If you don't fail, I always tell the students, you have to try it. And if you fail, that's okay. That's when you learn. And you have to recognize the failure, and you have to say, yeah, that's it. That's a mistake. But you have to recognize where do you fail, and you have to reflect on yourself. What can you do to improve? You know, when we're teachers, we sometimes are expected to, you know, to do always right and to be always at the head of the table, just doing all the activities correctly. But honestly speaking, I don't know no teachers that being at the head of the table, being principals, without being making mistakes. They all, and those mistakes give them experience. All those mistakes help us to become better teachers, better human beings, help us to recognize where and how can we improve. So the advice generally to all the students or all the people that are watching and would be like, okay, yeah, how can we be a better teacher? Try, have mistakes, be better, understand where all those mistakes are coming from, improving those skills, and also all those areas of opportunities are always going to be there. So live with them, live through them, and always be better at them. All right, that will be my piece of advice for them.
Thank you very much, Teacher Brian. What can you tell us about this question, Teacher Fabricio?
Thank you. Well, I have a couple of points I would like to highlight. For example, if I had listened to my teachers back then, I think I would have saved a lot of meaningful learning that that had to happen throughout these last years. But one of the recommendations I could give is again to honor Dr. Chombo, to get a higher English level certificate. Some teachers do not understand how important it is to reach a higher level, because the higher your level, the wider the extent of your comprehension of how the language works might get. I would also recommend building solid relationships with your teacher for further collaboration. For example, as I mentioned before, I had heard Miss Floribon's name through Miss Mari Carmen Baca when I was there doing my practicum at Escuela Anexa, Secundaria Anexa. And I remember one teacher told us the ELT world in Mexico, especially in the Ministry of Education, is really small. So you will get to know each other eventually. Another piece of advice that might work is store and manage your files. You never know when you're going to use them, from your first lesson plan up to your research documents when you're preparing your thesis. I think you never know how valuable it can become throughout time. Your opinion matters too. Learn as much as you can from each teacher, from your classmates, but also from your students. That's something else that I think might come in handy. From your teachers, learn their most valuable personal trait or strategy. They will be there all the time in your memory, some part in the back of your head, to help you overcome any situation. Last but not least, build team spirit with your whole class while you're a student. It is important that you stay together because life has taught me in different ways that I cannot do things on my own. I really need someone next to me in my life to give me a hand. For example, right now where I am working, I am with one of my colleagues, a personal friend, and we studied together. And I believe we make a great team when it comes to staying updated with how students are doing. The coordination or boss feels that she can rely on us, but because we understand similar things, it's like having us together, having two other pairs of eyes when we are working. We have similar interests, similar ways of thinking, and that's thanks to Normal Superior, I believe. Having the chance to work with another normalista can make a difference here. I mean, I hope I don't sound too arrogant or preppy with that comment, but that's everything I could say, I guess.
Interesting, interesting, teacher Fabricio. Thank you very much. What can you tell us about this question, teacher Herman, please?
Of course, thank you. Well, I was thinking about 3 different points, but I will make another extra points for trying to get those points because they were touched from the teacher Fabrizio's speech. He said, firstly, like teacher Fabrizio said, we are like the development or the mixture of our teachers' lessons, right? And when we are working with our students, we have unconsciously like these teachers speaking to us, right? The lessons become more like lively, right? And then you as a student becoming into a teacher, you have to listen carefully, right? This is the first thing to do because you're not going to get there. You're not going to retrieve those memories if you didn't listen carefully when you have the opportunity to have the lesson. So the first thing is, if you are studying the Escuela Normal Superior de Mexico or any other Escuela Normal, try to take advantage of the lessons they are giving to you. And this is the first thing. As well, teacher Fabricio said that it is an extremely important thing to do to have this strong or build this strong relationships with your professors. As well, I think that you might need to do it with your peers because the knowledge as we know it, as we see it today, as we visualize it right now, is that the learning process is better if we do it as a society, right, as a community. So it is extremely important as well, building those strong relationships with your teachers, but as well with your peers, and as well with every single actor within the context you are working with, right? Not only in the professional practice, but as well within the Escuela Normal Superior de Mexico. Try to learn a lot from anybody because there's a lot of people that can give you an advice that maybe is going to be invaluable when you're like trying to managing your classroom or trying to get a point with your students, trying to understand them, right? Because they are, like we said, secondary school or any level is difficult to work with. Secondary school, it is like a different level of difficult, right? And as well, I want to touch the point that we should, or the students that are becoming teachers, need to get more experience into immersive experiences, English spoken immersive experiences, if they have the opportunity. You have a teacher that is speaking in English all the time, you have to take advantage of that. Listen carefully, trying to get more and more vocabulary, because it's going to be helpful for you, not only for your teacher works, right? But like speaking with anybody else. And I like notice that not everyone does that. So that's going to be a great advice to take into advantage of. And as well, like trying to get all the, or first of all, knowing, like teacher Brian said, reflect on how you are as a teacher at that moment, what specific dimensions of you can improve. And in order to become a great teacher, you have to work on you, not in your students, because your students are like having a rough time trying to learn English. That's a fact, right? But as well, you have to look inside of you and try to become a better teacher. I know it's pretty much a difficult thing to do, even though like it is a all day long speech in the education field, but it is like super helpful if you want to become into an English teacher, right? Any type of teacher, but in this case, English teachers. That's my answer.
Thank you very much, teacher Herman. And what can you tell us about your experience and what you can share with our students? Miss Flor, please.
The first one is, as soon as it's possible, you take full advantage of the time that you have there in the program while you are studying. What I mean is that take every course that you can, every seminar, every conference, because at the end, that will make you a difference. It will set you apart from the rest of the students. That was a lesson that I learned as soon as I finished my major. And I was more than granted that I took all those courses, because that gave me some other chances to get a better place.
Okay, we have
The second one is
with the
about
internal
develop
signal.
strong look for proficiency. Can you listen to me?
Yes,
Can you listen to me?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, as I was telling you
Miss,
before,
again, your signal, your internal signal is low.
you need to have a strong, become an effective teacher. I don't know how to fix it.
Okay. Okay. Are you there, Miss?
Can you listen to me?
Yes. Please check your internal signal, please.
Sorry, as I was telling you before, you need to master your teaching skills, ability to improve your strategies, becoming an effective teacher. Because at the end of the day, students will realize how you are updating if you have some extra courses. What I also recommend is to seek continuous learning and growth. The education field is enormous, and there are so many workshops, readings about teaching methods, about how all other educators can help you and to go ahead with some collaborations. And the last one, and no less important, is to stay passionate and patient, because you are going to need it all the time, every day, every moment, every student. You need to adapt and to adjust your curriculum so students can get all what they need. That would be my recommendations.
Okay, Miss. Thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. And dear colleagues, remember that as a conclusion that we are, as teachers, we can see teacher as a guide with our experiences as in secondary school teachers, especially English teachers. So we need to take in account the planification, designing of materials, their applications, their evaluation, according to the teaching learning process, right? Thank you for this inspiring perspective and experiences shared with us. Today, I'm sure that all our students are going to take your references into consideration, and this will give support to their objectives as future English teachers. To conclude our panel, I would like to thank you for your time this afternoon. And our program is continues, and I'm going to return the conduction to the of the program to Miss Carolina Maturano. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Y ahora, para sumarnos al agradecimiento, compartimos pantalla, por favor. La Autoridad Educativa Federal en la Ciudad de México, a través de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio, otorgan el presente reconocimiento a Fabricio Alejandro Alanís Espejel, panelista. Germán Aguayo Bedoya, panelista. Brian Martínez Rodríguez, panelista. Flor Ivonne Chávez Ángel, panelista. Y a Javier Aguirre Mendino, moderador, por su participación en el panel de experiencias de egresados de la licenciatura en inglés de la Escuela Normal Superior de México, en el marco del cuarto Conversatorio de Inglés, Building Collaborative Networking Among English Normal Teachers. Construir comunidades de colaboración entre docentes de inglés en escuelas normales, que se llevó a cabo en modalidad virtual. Firma Eugenio Aurelio López López, director general. Octubre 2024. Muchas gracias. Enseguida tenemos el bloque 1 de ponencias sobre perspectivas docentes, para lo cual presento a quien fungirá como moderadora, Carla Joana Hernández Pérez, de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio. Adelante, maestra.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion on teaching perspectives. I'm Carla Joana Hernandez, and I'll be your moderator today. We're honored and thrilled to have you all here with us, and special thanks to our speakers and those fellow teachers or students tuning in via YouTube. Today, we'll hear from 3 esteemed speakers, each bringing their unique insights and experiences related to teaching. Our goal here is to explore diverse teaching philosophies, methods, and the impact they have on learning. Here's how today's session will be structured. Each speaker will present for approximately 15 to 20 minutes their presentation. They'll delve into their chosen topics, which we believe will inspire and challenge us in our teaching practices. If needed, I might be subtly interrupting your presentation when time is about to end. After all 3 presentations, we'll transition into a Q&A session. If time permits, we'll take questions and comments from the YouTube chat, allowing our speakers to address their thoughts and inquiries directly. To those who follow the broadcast on YouTube, we encourage everyone to actively engage with the presentations and think critically about how these perspectives can apply to your own teaching context. Your questions and comments are invaluable, so please share them in the chat throughout the presentations. Now, let's get started. I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, Juan Francisco López Gutiérrez, an English teacher at Escuela Normal Superior Veracruzana. with his presentation on research networks as a resource in the construction and dissemination of English teaching knowledge. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you very much, Professor Carla Joana Hernandez. I would like to thank the staff in the GENAM for having accepted my presentation to participate in this important event. I'm going to proceed with the presentation. Okay. Sorry. Thank you very much. My name is Juan Francisco López Gutiérrez. I'm an English and a French teacher working currently in Escuela Normal Superior Veracruzana, Dr. Manuel Suárez Trujillo in Jalapa, Veracruz. And today I'm going to talk about the importance of research networks as resources to construct and disseminate English teaching knowledge. First of all, it is important to identify what kind of knowledge can be built for English teachers and for teachers in general. Here I'm showing you a model proposed by Thompson and Mishra that summarizes some of the aspects that we as teachers should possess, should have, in order to comply with the 21st century demands. First of all, as English teachers, we should be able to know the language and the language components, that is to say grammar, lexis, communicative and sociocultural aspects, that is the content knowledge. But also we should be able to know and to practice some different strategies, to know teaching methodologies, to know the current changes that have been taking place in education. And we need to be able to respond to the needs of the classroom according to the context. That could be summarized as pedagogical knowledge, or PK. Also, for example, we have the need to develop specific abilities related to English teaching. So that's to say, we have to be able to know how to teach grammar, lexis, pronunciation, listening, and other abilities. That would be equivalent to pedagogical content knowledge, or PCK. Also with the new requirements that we are supposed to comply, or we are meant to comply, technological knowledge has been really important in the present epoch. So technological knowledge refers to the abilities, to the competences that we, the teachers, should have, and everyone should have, in order to be functional in this era. That is to say, to be able to use hardware, software, different social media, different apps. But when we use this technological context, this technological knowledge in favor of the content, specifically English, if we, for example, learn new aspects about the English language, for example, the sociocultural impact of the language on how it is perceived in other countries, we talk about technological content knowledge. That is to say, that we are using technology to increase our understanding and our use of the English language. So when we talk about technological knowledge, and we have already enriched the resources to be more approached, to be more, more knowledgeable about the English language, we might also need the use of technology for pedagogical practices. That is to say, we use technology to develop, to implement, or to use different software, different gadgets that can be implemented, that can be employed for teaching English in different contexts. That's technological pedagogical knowledge, or TPK. So at the core of these types of knowledge, of these domains of knowledge, we have technological pedagogical content knowledge, or TPAC. That is to say that the ability, is the opportunity to use technology to teach any subject, any field of interest, any field of expertise in any context. And now, what is the importance of building this kind of knowledge among English teachers? Well, there are different implications of building knowledge among communities. So when we use networks, first of all, it is important to notice that because we are a group of teachers, a group of educators, a group of maybe subject designers, we are also meant to develop different kinds of competences. So for example, the first one, among there are the different abilities that we need to develop, but one of the most essential is the collective responsibility. That means that we as teachers, we as students, we as participants in the school community should not be limited to just follow theoretical information, to just follow concepts and take them as if they were a universal truth. When we are researchers and educators, we are also meant to be responsible and critical for what we teach, for what we transmit, and how it is used. So that means that we as teachers and educators should be able to share different kinds of knowledge and be critical, use this knowledge according to the context. The context needs to be used in order to maximize the importance of knowledge. That is to say, research that was well carried out in a context might not provide knowledge that is totally relevant for other contexts. We need to bear in mind the age of students, the socio-cultural milieu, and other aspects. That also implies that knowledge is symmetric. That means that even though there might be teachers who are have more expertise in these areas, in different areas, that doesn't mean that these teachers who are experienced or these researchers who hold more experience than others should not be taken as the only ones who can provide knowledge, as the only ones who can really build significant practices. We are all members of the community, so that means that even novice teachers, even novice researchers, everyone in the community can contribute with knowledge. The idea is that we can learn and we can teach anyone in the community. And this should be used to transform our practice, to transform the way we teach, to transform the way we interact with students, and what findings we have located, we have traced in the research. So the idea of building knowledge among communities enables us to interact with others, to interact with people in different contexts, and give us this participation that is active. It enables us to share knowledge in different contexts, to share findings, and to learn from one another. So, what are some of the current trends in EFL research networks? As teachers and as students, we need to bear in mind that today, teaching English just in a context that is monolingual, in a context that requires exclusive use of materials for certain purposes, or that uses just some methods, is not the best practice right now, given that we come, first of all, from a country that is plurilingual, pluricultural, where English levels are different in each context. So we need to bear in mind that we need to consider these aspects when teaching English and when carrying out research in different schools, in different institutions. So some of the current trends in EFL have focused on how to make English more approachable, how to make English a subject that can be liked, that can be enjoyed by others, and can be practical in different situations. So there are more and more projects regarding how to teach English to students with a disability, or to teachers with a disability. For example, to teach English with gender perspective, how to decolonize English teaching, and use practices that might have not been explored by countries such as the United Kingdom, the United States and Canada, the countries belonging to the inner circle nations, but they have been explored by other nations, including Mexico, where English is not the main language, where English is a foreign language. So it is important to take importance on these findings. Also, plurilingualism and pluriculturalism, there are different research networks, such as the Learner and the conference that is held biannually in the Institute from SARS in Germany, that explore and are interested in learning how teachers and how students learn English and other major European languages such as French and German in countries where there are different indigenous languages, such as Mexico. So they give them insights in the perspectives of learners, the challenges they face, and how they have developed specific methods to teach, to carry out research, and to have students, let's see, like be exposed and be able to not to surrender to the language barriers or not to be able, in order to be able to communicate in different contexts efficiently. So another issue that has been explored by different kinds of research is English for specific purposes. We know that right now with the change of program, the new preschool, secondary, primary program, that is to say name, English is being seen as a subject that makes part of a different trayecto formativo. So that means that English should be enhanced, the learning of English and the teaching of English should be part of the language field. So students and teachers are meant to carry out activities that permit learning Spanish, learning indigenous languages in different contexts, and also to incorporate English in different practices, in projects that explore the diversity of the school, that explore different problematics that need to be addressed. So right now, the new change in the program is compliant with international research and education that is like carrying out English teaching for different disciplines. Use English not only as the object of study, but also the object, or use English as means for learning other subjects. Also, there is a key aspect related to international language policies. We know that most or the majority of English programs are based on the Common European Framework of Reference. So we need to be aware that the Common European Framework of Reference is undergoing changes, what has been proposed, but we also need to take into account what policies are being taken in English-speaking nations, what changes and proposals are being considered in countries where English is the main foreign languages or is one of the languages that is used, and see how these policies reflect the reality of the countries and how they can be reflected, how they can be used also in Mexico or other countries in order to create language policies that are significant to the students and to the context. And one topic that has been of interest for English teachers in Mexico and other countries is curriculum design, how English and other languages can be incorporated into curricula, and how this curricula has evolved through the years, what changes need to be made, for example, what procedures need to be taken into account. And here is where the participation of teachers coming from different nations, including Mexico, it becomes really useful. So when they design these new policies and they want to assess the efficacy, usually they carry out different kinds of interviews in countries where English is not one language that is not extensively used, but how the different nations have managed to incorporate English and other foreign languages into the curricula, and what paradigms, what models have been used to construct these programs. So is it a design based on the game-based learning approach? Is it a design made based on the constructive approach? So all of this is interesting because we can learn by means of this research of networks, how we can transmit different knowledge and how we can actually contribute to the learning. Well, in my experience, I have been a novice researcher since I had the opportunity to work in Escuela Normal Superior Veracruzana, Dr. Manuel Suarez Trujillo, so it has been a recent opportunity, but I have also had the ability and the opportunity to explore different international research networks, such as the one offered by the University of Utrecht that explore annually different projects, different talks regarding pluriculturalism, plurilingualism, how English and other languages are taught, how they are assessed in terms of population, in terms of the impact they have. Another one that I could recommend is the international conference that is held sometimes biannually and sometimes triannually by the Hochschule von Saarbrück in Alemania, in Germany, sorry. I was mixing up with Spanish and English, sorry. So they have these great conferences where you can carry out your projects where you can share what you have, and they have these excellent panels online that you can meet. So these are some of the benefits regarding research networks. I would like to suggest that we as teachers and we as researchers and participants in these new changes in the present day curricula, we should be eager to participate in different aspects, in different forums, different conferences where we can meet peers, where we can meet students, class designers, curriculum designers, in order to increase our opportunities to share what we have, in order to build more knowledge. Because as I said, knowledge is symmetrical. That means that even though there are people who have more expertise, we are all invited to participate to construct knowledge in different areas and with different practices and for different reasons. So, well, I would like to conclude my talk here. So I would like to thank again Professor Joana Hernandez for the presentation, for introducing me, and the Genan personnel for the invitation. And I hope this brief talk has been of use for all of you. And what I would like to thank you and invite you to continue in this channel, in this program. Thank you very much.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Lopez, for your insightful presentation. Again, to those that are following this Cuarto Conversatorio, we encourage you to actively engage and share your comments and questions through our YouTube channel, okay? Now, I'm thrilled to introduce our next speaker, Luis Presas Vera, an English teacher at Escuela Normal Superior de Baja California Sur, Professor Enrique Estrada Lucero, who will deliver his presentation called Authentic Materials Mediated by AI, Promoting Metacognition and Critical Thinking in Language Education. So, well, Mr. Presas, welcome to our panel, which is all yours now.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here with you. Is my sound okay? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. In case there is any complication, I am also in another device, then it would take, I don't know, like seconds to shift. First of all, I want to thank the committee for inviting me to share this topic, which is of great interest to me. I am very interested in technology and the cognitive processes that take place when we learn, teach, and use a second language. Juan, who preceded me, he was using some Spanish accidentally, but that is something that we bilinguals or multilingual people can do. You know, it's called code switching. And I remember once one of my teachers, or in one presentation, someone said that we can code switch, or we code switch because we can. And it's not an ability that everyone has. So don't feel bad and don't ever apologize, because it's actually an ability. Well, the first thing I want to do is to say hello to my fellow teachers in the different teacher training schools in my state, the beautiful Baja California Sur. I know some of them are around here, and if not, they're going to watch the recording. So thank you for being here, and a big hug for you guys. Also, I want to say hello to the students of my school. You know, I work, as I was introduced, en la Escuela Normal Superior del Estado de Baja California Sur at La Paz. And then we have the bachelor's degree in English in several semesters right now. And then they are also going to see this recording or live. And then I say hello to them and thank you for being here. Well, to start, I need to say that this is going to be a very practical talk. Juan gave us very good and interesting theory, but now it's time for me to talk a little bit about applications. And as you know, my presentation is Authentic Materials Mediated by AI, and how we can promote metacognition and critical thinking, you know, in our language classes. It can be obviously, generally speaking, in English, because that's what we teach in the Normales school. And I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of theory, but most of all, some practical advice or some practical tips for you to apply all this into your teaching practices. You should take this with a pinch of salt because I know that every context is different, but I'm going to give you what has been working for me, and I am sure that it can work for everyone with your personal touch. All right. First of all, I need to say the first thing is that authentic materials or their value in language teaching. You may well know, or some of you may not know, that authentic materials, when we speak about authentic materials, we mean resources that were created for native speakers of the target language and used in real life context rather than specifically for language learning or teaching. I mean, when I say authentic materials, I am not speaking about a textbook or materials that we prepare as teachers to teach. But on the other hand, I am speaking about normal and regular articles, songs, web pages, radio and TV broadcasts, films, leaflets, etc. You name it. Any material that was prepared to communicate or to convey a message to the speakers of certain community that share a language. No, and the value of this material is that they provide, or these materials provide learners with exposure to the language as it is used in the real world. As you know, exposure is one of the components for success. And then that is why I recommend that you implement more and more authentic materials in your teaching, since it is a way to bring the real world into the classroom. I was once told, someone told me some time ago, that they use, or these people that were talking to me, they use authentic materials, but they modify it a little bit. And then that whenever you modify these materials, they stop being authentic. So the thing is that we need to curate or find materials that are applicable to our lesson, depending on our students' interests and level, and then use them as they are in the real world. And I have here one example of those materials. As you can see, this is a menu of a very common fast food restaurant, which has a wide variety of hamburgers. And then I think using menus and things like that is very attractive, because usually hamburgers is something that we all like. And then I have used these types of materials which are visually attractive and also provide very interesting and attractive information to our students in the age range that we have them in las escuelas normales in our schools. No? This is just one example. No? And we can see here guacamole and jalapeno, so we can also take advantage of cognates, no? Or friends, language friends. So this is what I mean when I speak of authentic materials. Hey, by the way, I'm clarifying this because I know we have novice teachers or recently egresados of our escuelas normales, like the ones that participated in the panel at the beginning of this session. I was very proud to listen to their experiences and how they are eager to improve and to become the teacher everyone deserves. So congratulations to our new graduates. And that is why I like always when I give some of these talks, I usually clarify, even though this might be something that is well known by some of us who have been long in this profession, but there's always someone who might need some clarification. So that's what I mean when I say authentic materials. Now continuing, I'm going to speak about metacognition. Metacognition in language learning involves, or it includes being aware of regulating our own learning processes. This is very close related to the theory, the monitor theory by Krashen, in which he says, so the theory says that we usually are monitoring or taking care of what we say, we think before we speak. And metacognition involves 3 stages. It involves planning, involves monitoring, and involves evaluating. Planning what? Was usually the student who has this ability developed, he is able to plan what he wants to learn or she wants to learn, and he chooses the appropriate strategies and resources. And then here I can mention again the authentic materials. There is a student who might like reading, and then he's going to find reading materials according to his or her interest. So he can choose podcasts, or I don't know, material for extensive reading or extensive listening for pleasure. Monitoring involves tracking, understanding, and performance. The student in this case is able to identify the things that he knows and the blanks that he might have in his performance or in his proficiency, and he can work accordingly, adjusting strategies as needed. And finally, evaluating. Metacognition also includes evaluating, in which the learner assesses his learning outcomes. He takes risks and he evaluates if he is able or not to convey his messages. And then that is a very good quality or a very good feature in responsible learners and autonomous learners. So these are the three stages, or the three, the three divisions of metacognition: planning, monitoring, and evaluating. All of these three obviously are very they are higher order thinking skills, and they need to be developed. We cannot expect students to have these abilities at the beginning, but we need to, little by little, promote all these activities or all these features or all these characteristics. And that's what I'm going to be continue talking about, how we can make artificial intelligence work with us to bring students to these stages so they become more autonomous and independent, obviously. Remember that the best teacher is the one who becomes less necessary for the students. The less necessary you are, it's, well, in my philosophy, it's the better teacher you are. So here I have an example. Metacognition at work. Imagine that a student might plan to use AI to learn phrases, expressions, or vocabulary. In this case, I say AI, it can be a podcast, it can be, I don't know, a pamphlet, it can be a TV show, a series, and they can monitor their progress through self-testing and evaluate their success by reflecting on test scores, or not just tests, but analyzing or reflecting on how well they understood and they are able to communicate what they think with other people, not only native speakers, but with other students too. And then they are able to adjust study methods. They identify what they need to improve, and they work accordingly, as I just mentioned. It can be on phonetics, on phonology, it can be on grammar, it can be on syntax, etc. So this is metacognition at work. This is the ideal, the ideal picture that students should have. And then we're going to help them through the use of artificial intelligence. But before going to artificial intelligence, I want to make a little parenthesis about functions and exponents. Probably you know about this, but functions in language teaching refers to the use we give to the language. There is always a purpose to speak. For example, when one of the function is asking for help. Asking for help can be used with different exponents. I have here two in my slide. Can you give me a hand, or help me, please? The function is asking for help, and then I have two exponents that are more obviously, can you give me a hand, or help me, please? For complaining, this is unacceptable, or the service is terrible. In this case, we are complaining, and we are using two ways or two exponents to complain. We have congratulating, we have two exponents, congratulations or well done. Saying goodbye, you can do it by different exponents, like see you next time, bye-bye, etc. And finally, you have this last one example for expressing agreement. I have noted here, I put here two exponents, like I couldn't agree more, or the simple I agree. And this is very important for me to make this clear, because we're going to use artificial intelligence by writing or designing prompts using functions and exponents in order to make artificial intelligence work for us as teachers or for our students. And obviously, we need to train them to use artificial intelligence. There are many different types. You can have Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Meta, etc. All of them are very good. I was recently on a talk, and I was interested to see that there were different speakers, and all of them were using a very different I don't know if I can say program, but a generator. No, some of them were very fond of Perplexity. Some of them were very fond of Copilot. I think it's a matter of getting to know them, and then you'll find one that you like. I don't know, it can be just how accessible it is on your device, or the interface. It depends on whatever you prefer, but you can choose one. You can try some of them and then decide on one that you want to use, or you can even ask your students to explore a little bit which one they use and which one they think it's better, if you are not very much aware of these generators. And now here's the interesting part. As you may well know, the most important part of using artificial intelligence for language learning and teaching is the prompts. The prompt is the instruction that you give, or that you give to the artificial intelligence. And I have designed this prompt in Espanol so that our students, or my students, start using it and then getting ideas for the English lesson. In this case, in the first column, I have the prompt for my students, and this is like asking for advice, and this is the first prompt I give them. Estoy aprendiendo inglés, soy nivel A2 o A1, y necesito expresar, y aquí vamos a poner this is where we're going to write the function of the language. In this case, quejarme de un mal servicio, which is the exponent complaining, porque, and then you say the context. In this case, I gave them the context, me han servido la comida fría, ¿no? ¿Qué frases o expresiones puedo utilizar? Obviously, this is for A1, A2, so it can be in Español, because we give the context that I am learning English in level A2. And then I give the instruction, ¿qué frases o expresiones puedo usar? ¿No? Con fulano de tal, or so and so, in order to, and then you give the intention. And in example number 2 here on my right side, this is the prompt that that one of my students came out with. Estoy aprendiendo inglés, soy nivel A2 y necesito quejarme de un mal servicio en un restaurante porque me han dado la comida fría. ¿Qué frases o expresiones puedo utilizar con el mesero para resolver la situación? As you can see, this can help our students. This is obviously done in the classroom, so students start to manipulate the artificial intelligence in a controlled space, in a controlled environment, and you as teacher can give them some hints or some advice on how to create the prompt. No, and then this is the results of the response of the artificial intelligence. Like for complaining, let me see, this is not complete. Here, I'm going to move with this. For greeting, excuse me, can I talk to you for a moment? Oh, I'm sorry, but my food is cold. And then when it says expresar el problema, it gives us 2 different exponents. I'm sorry, but my food is cold, or I ordered my meal hot and it's not warm. And then asking for a solution, again, the function, can you please heat it up? Or can you bring me a hot meal, please? Etc. And also, the artificial intelligence provided a mini conversation, and this is on the other part of the table. And then we have, yes, of course, what's the problem? I'm sorry, but my food is cold. I apologize for that. And then we can have students do a role play. You might think that this is too simple, but it's not, because it can give our students some authentic texts, or you as teacher can verify that the product or the response that the artificial intelligence is providing our students corresponds to real world talk, and it's not just as something that is synthetic or something that is unnatural. I'm going to give you another example. In this case, I provide my students with an image about something that happened, which is something that is very common. In this case, it's a car crash. It's not very serious. Obviously, I'm not going to present something that is drastic. But then I ask my students, imagine that you are in this situation. What could you say? And then usually these are very specific occasions which our textbooks do not include. And then this is a very good opportunity to ask our students to prepare something. But they need lexis, they need formulas, they need, conventional phrases, and then the artificial intelligence can give them some ideas, and then we can create an activity with that. As I just mentioned, it can be a role play, it can be a letter of complaint, it can be an email to the insurance company. I don't know. You name it, no? And then I have the prompt for this activity. You might read it. It's in Espanol, but it's asking the artificial intelligence or giving the context of what is happening. In this case, it's a B1. I could have written this in English, but just for the sake of comprehension, I just did it in Spanish. Because we might have some people in the audience that don't speak too much of English, and then I put it in Espanol. But you can see the principle, setting the context, saying that you are learning English, and then ask for the machine to give you some ideas. And again, there's this part of the ethical use of artificial intelligence, and that's where we teachers come into the scene in order to cure or to verify what they get is appropriate, what they get is according to the register that they are using. And also we can give them the instructions so they can use these phrases, but not specific, like the role play, they can do the role play, or they can change, you name it, no? You can provide a different context or different personas so that the activity can be modified and be exploited. No? And I have just this one example. This is a video. Let's see if we can play it. I'm sure you know this. There's no sound. The sound is not necessary. Oh, I don't know if it's clear. But anyways, what you can see here is our athlete, a Mexican athlete, Alexa Moreno, who had this terrible accident in the Olympics. Not terrible, but this accident in which she fell and she could not continue in the competence. And then I like to use this video, or this very short video, actually it's a TikTok, because it's short and it's inspirational. And then what I ask my students to write an email to Alexa, cheering her up and letting her know that not everything is lost, and then they can use the artificial intelligence to give my students some phrases or some encouraging words or phrases with which they can enrich their project. And the prompt for an A2, and this is what they could get. It's okay to feel sad. You did your best. Think about how far you've come. Don't give up. Keep working towards your goals. And then this is what I do. This is not something that Google can do, but by providing the context, students can have a better understanding of how language works. On a final note, I want to say that we as teachers, for us teachers, it's a good idea to continue with the professional development. Being a teacher involves a lifelong learning process, and our classroom is our laboratory. Remember that we should not be afraid of trying new things. And I remember once, like some years ago, probably like 10 years ago, someone told me, who needs a teacher when we have Google? And now we can change it to who needs a teacher when we have artificial intelligence? But we do need a teacher because there's the human side, there's the empathy, and there is the knowledge of human feelings and emotions that is never going to be replaced, or we are never going to be replaced because of that by a machine. Thank you for your attention. I hope this has been useful to you. And just to say, this is the final thing I always do with my presentation. Remember that the important is not the horse, the Troy horse, but what is inside. The most important is not the technology, but we and the use we give it on behalf of our students and their preparation. Thank you very much. Here's my information if you want to reach out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prezes, for sharing these amazing ideas on the use of AI in English teaching. I'm pretty sure there will be a great deal of use for our fellow teachers as well. Okay, well, thank you. And last but not least, allow me to introduce Irina Stoyanova Blaeva, English teacher at Escuela Normal de Rincón de Romos, Dr. Francisco Rafael Aguilar Lomelí, with her presentation, Welcome to the Brain Gym, the art of triggering AI with smarter questions, which I'm sure will provide us with invaluable perspectives. Please, Ms. Stoyanova, go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to have this opportunity to share thoughts with fellow colleagues and coworkers and future colleagues, students. Everything we need is to collaborate and keep sharing. That's why I appreciate and I thank again to all the team of the GENAM. I hope my presentation is on screen.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so before we start, I'd like to clarify that when I use the words brain gym, I refer to a cognitive effort that helps us build and strengthen our thinking skills. I don't refer to the brain gym exercises created by Dr. Paul Demenson some years ago. I will focus on the art of asking smart questions as a tool to exercise our brain. Let me get it on full screen. And there we go. I'd like to start with a quote I took from a Harvard Business Review article I ran across recently, and it says, advances in AI have caused a seismic shift from a world in which answers were crucial to a one in which questions are. And the big differentiator is the ability to craft smart prompts. I couldn't agree more with this quote. And here's the big picture. There are two key milestones I'd like to mention, Google and ChatGPT. When Google came on the stage more than 20 years ago, it was like, wow, the groundbreaking search engine. And it even became part of the language. It was accepted by the Oxford English Dictionary, was the first one to incorporate this term to Google something, and then followed by Merriam-Webster and so on. Still, it took 8 years to incorporate this new habit of the new generations. Now that the ChatGPT is here, the first generative pre-trained transformer, that's what GPT stands for, if you have the curiosity, and it took less than 8 months to become part of the Cambridge Dictionary, of all dictionaries. So I invite you to think what's next. Nowadays, there are over 33,000 apps using the so-called large language models, or LLM. And here it is. Here's the proof that Google formed part of the dictionaries, and it's B2 vocabulary. Search for something on the internet using the Google search engine. I put this here because it illustrates the impact Google had on searching information and on learning. And you can also see the GPT, it's taken from the Cambridge Dictionary online, and it's on all dictionaries. You can you can read it on your own, but there's the official definition of this abbreviation, which goes to the side of software engineers and programmers, but it's pretty clear on what it could do as a mathematical representation that uses probabilities to predict language and functions. The latest version functions in a way similar to how our human brain works. So there are some examples here. I will build up on what Luis Presas just shared with us. There are more than 90,000 different apps being created. It's not just one. Google was the one for years. And now they're uncountable apps. Still, what is the role of the humans in this process? Let's look at the common assignments we as teachers used to give before 2023, before the arrival of ChatGPT. We were asking students to summarize an article, research a topic, and make a presentation with the main ideas, create a questionnaire, and so on. And now it turns out that after attending different courses and learning how to use all those tools, teachers create lesson plans and activities using AI, and then students use the AI to solve those exercises and activities. So who is learning in the end? And how can we make it possible to learn together? Because the AIs can write an essay, can make the charts that we used to make before. Here I'm sharing an example of a mind map on irregular verbs. One of the favorite topics, the trickiest one for teachers and students. And here with the red circles, you can observe that the students who are giving a random list of irregular verbs with the text to, okay, there's the problem, you have to learn those. What do we do? The certification exam is in 2 weeks or in 1 month. So they were involving exactly the high-order thinking skills to organize, to analyze the information, to identify patterns. And to name those patterns with something that is meaningful for them. No change, all different, first are different, and even some kind of coding. So those examples illustrate the cognitive functions associated with the neocortex, the most sophisticated part of our brains, in charge of abstract thinking, organizing, and all those high-order thinking skills, together with decision-making. So we need to make sure that this process is going on, continuously going on. Beware. Since more than 10 years ago, neuroscientists are researching the so-called digital dementia phenomenon. According to use it or lose it principle in neuroscience, if we stop using those cognitive functions, they will eventually deteriorate. So we need to make sure that we use them. You know, some years ago, when I was the group representatives, I could remember the phone numbers of 20 classmates, and now I struggle with the phone numbers of my 2 daughters. And I don't mean that we need to memorize useless data, but I just don't need to end up asking a Siri, what was my name? And if we don't keep alive the curiosity, the human curiosity, this might happen. Let me play a video taken from Nat Geo. I'm a big fan of Nat Geo and Jason, who shares also some tips on how to stretch our brains.
Kind of exercise of the mind. We know that crossword puzzles and mathematical experiments are said to stretch, almost in a way, stretch our synapses and stretch our thinking and stretch our brains. But I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. We know all these studies have come out of the neuroplasticity of the brain, and that we can design certain experiments that kind of exercise certain cognitive faculties. When you think outside the box, you see the world anew. Habit and routine, it's deadening. You become blind to anything that's always around. Thinking outside the box means thinking out of context, means pulling yourself out of context, means changing up your situation and the triggers that trigger your thinking, the usual thought habits, decondition your thinking. This is a very important thing for any kind of creative person to do, because I think that it just forces the brain to engage with the world as if the world were new all over again.
So how can we continue to trigger our thinking, to see the world as it's all new again? Because remember, curiosity is the ultimate drive of human learning. That's what differentiates us. The algorithms, the artificial intelligence algorithms, get stuck when they find an answer to a question, and they tend to provide the same answer. That's why software engineers implement a system of points. They award certain points to motivate the algorithm to find new answers. So evolution and our ability to explore, to be curious, has a really incredible impact. AI needs to be triggered. It's there, but if we don't ask questions, if we don't set prompts, it's just there, nothing happens. And humans are the ones who need to keep alive their curiosity and keep exercising their thinking skills. I'm sure all of you have heard about the Socratic method, and some point of your career, maiotics in Greek, they're the words, and it's a pedagogical approach which involves asking questions. Asking questions to help a person or a student to arrive at knowledge or understanding by themselves, assisting in giving birth to new ideas. And this is the best part of the Socratic method. In follow-up questions, Socrates questions the answers, and this is something you need to do. When the artificial intelligence provides you with an answer, question it and exercise your critical thinking skills. There's an example of how we can do this: articulating smart questions, exercising our brain, and at the same time having a conversation with the AI. There's a simple prompt asking randomly, which is the most frequently used verb in English. And guess what? There's the answer, to be. And you keep asking, how is that calculated? And you get an answer based on corpus linguistics or corpora. And then you ask for clarification. What is that? Give me a definition. That's how we learn. It's a large amount of text, authentic materials, as Luis said, and so on. Here I abbreviated the answers. How can I check the accuracy? Here's where the interesting part starts. AI says, use relevant sources. And I ask about the criteria. How do you choose your sources? And it reveals part of the procedure. And these are really good, reasonable criteria, make sense. But then you go. This is where the truth is born. There you go. You use the students, in this case, the AI's own words to question it. Then why, in your last but one answers, I think I did this with you.com. They started mentioning sources. And this is where, after this contradiction, why didn't you use your own recommendations? It says, I apologize, and here's the truth, the neural learning. I will improve. I will incorporate a larger range. So this is a very simple example of how it works, and why is it a good exercise. The trend is towards conversation, because the conversation is the way humans are programmed to interact. And this is what the principal data strategist says of all those companies that design the AI apps. The classic framework of Socratic types of questions can be grouped in this way. It's a cycle. You can repeat different types for clarification, for probing assumptions, for exploring perspectives, examining the consequences, or challenging the questioner, as we did. And I compared those. They turned to be quite similar to a very recent publication. It's 2024. And the Harvard Business Review article on types of smart questions. There's the first one: investigative, speculative, productive, interpretive, and subjectives. And we'll end with an example of how it works. And I invite you to try those questions in English or in Spanish in your favorite AI chatbot, and feel free to share your insights and comments. And I'm sure that you will learn unexpected things thanks to curiosity. Investigative question. A standard prompt could be, what are the irregular verbs? An example, a definition. But if we try asking deeper and further, how can I know if a verb in present is regular or irregular? Or the curiosity, have you ever asked it, why are there irregular verbs? Why do they exist? And a lot of things related to history, geography, origins of linguistics will pop up, and we can continue digging further. An example of speculative questions. These are really revealing. What would happen if all the verbs became regular? What could be the possible consequences? Try this one. It really broadens the perspective. And these are the productive ones, the practical ones that can help us learn, that can help us with exercises, phrases, suggestions, or tips. How can we memorize them? By grouping them, and so on. And even creative extras, like creating a song for the students, a rap song, a cumbia song with irregular verbs and A2 vocabulary. It's an example. ChatGPT did a great job on this, with fine-tuning the prompt. And an example of interpretive questions. What could eliminate the use to learn irregular verbs? Do you feel the difference? Try this one. I invite you to try this one. Or how likely is it for the irregular verbs to disappear? Those questions are expression of human curiosity, of learning beyond the boundaries, beyond the cycle, the common viewpoints. And the subjective ones could be something like this. How do they relate to the performance of the model or to our own human performance, to our students' performance, to relatives, kids, etc.
Sorry, Ms. Stoyanova, there is less than a minute left. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
I'm going to finish with this, summarizing the Socratic dialogue with AI in 3 steps. Ask different kinds of smart questions, question the answers, and of course, enjoy building the intellectual strength. Remember, curiosity fuels learning and keeps our brain alive. This is the take home. This is the takeaway I want for all of you. And I recommend as additional resources for those who are planning to go further on this topic. It's a very nice site of the Berkeley Language Center with really, really nice resources for those who would like to go a little bit deeper on how this works. Of course, the references, and this will be everything on my behalf. Thank you for staying a little bit longer and listening to this talk.
Well, I'm very sorry for having interrupted you, Ms. Stoyanova, but I definitely love that brain games video. That was actually one of my favorite part and was my favorite series not so long ago. So happy to see that there's a huge Nat Geo fan here as well. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think there's time to share the questions on your thought-provoking presentations, but just a few comments on them. Most people on the YouTube channel are saying thank you. And definitely, thank you all for your insightful contributions and for joining us today. We hope the idea shared will inspire further collaboration and growth in our teaching practices. As we conclude, I would like to ask our speakers, Mrs. Stoyanova, Mr. Lopez, and Mr. Presas, right? To remain in the room to receive their certificates of participation from our Master of Ceremony, mi compañera Carolina Maturano. And well, again, I can help but thank you for your contributions to this important conversation.
Gracias, maestra. Y por supuesto, gracias a nuestros invitados. Compartimos pantalla, por favor. La Autoridad Educativa Federal en la Ciudad de México, a través de la Dirección General de Educación Normal y Actualización del Magisterio, otorgan el presente reconocimiento a Juan Francisco López Gutiérrez, ponente, Luis Presas Vera, ponente, Irina Stoyanova Plaeva, ponente, y a Carla Joana Hernández Pérez, moderadora, por su participación en el bloque 1 de ponencias de perspectivas docentes en el marco del 4º Conversatorio de Inglés Building Collaborative Networking Among English Normal Teachers. Construir comunidades de colaboración entre docentes de inglés en escuelas normales, que se llevó a cabo en modalidad virtual. Firma Eugenio Aurelio López López, Director General, octubre 2024. Y les damos las gracias a todos nuestros invitados del día de hoy. Y ahora les informamos que está disponible tanto en el chat del canal de YouTube y ahora en pantalla el enlace y código QR para evaluar este encuentro. Y de esta manera hemos llegado al final del primer día del 4º Conversatorio de Inglés. Agradecemos nos hayan acompañado y los esperamos el día de mañana a partir de las 13 horas. Buena tarde y hasta pronto.